Phil, 8 new signings so far this summer. How do you feel everything has come together?
Yeah, I think we're getting there slowly. I don't think we're where we need to be yet, but obviously we're pleased with the players we've brought in. They've added quality to the group, and yeah, it's now about integrating them into the side and into the squad in general.
How difficult is that when you've you've had that kind of churn of players and potentially more to come?
Yeah, I think the ideal scenario is that you get all the new players in before you go on tour, but it never works like that for many different reasons. But while we're in Australia, we worked very hard on the recruitment and had 4 players wait for us when we came back almost to announce. And since then we've added more players. So yeah, that's the balance right, getting the balance right between blooding the new players in, keeping the momentum and the continuity we've had over the last few seasons, and obviously looking forward to seeing all the new lads play. But equally for me, it's the lads who've been on this journey with us since the start, watching them adapt to another new division, because we've got some great stories here of players who joined us in the National League and now find themselves 3 years later in playing in the Championship, and that's very rewarding for myself and the rest of the staff to see those players continue to develop, and the new players' job is to help them adapt to the division.
How important has it been as well to bring in the kind of experience at this level? I'm thinking in particular of Kiefer Moore, Connor Cody as well.
Yeah, very important. I think two important signings for us. Obviously Connor's got a lot of experience at Premiership level, captain teams in the top division, played for his country. Kiefer likewise, and players who know the way around the league. Like I said, those players will only help our players adapt to this division.
We said there's potential for more signings before the deadline. Nathan Broadhead, can you bring us up to date as to what is happening there?
Yeah, honestly don't know anything today whether there's been any developments. So he's Ipswich Town's player, and until I'm told different, that's the way it'll stay.
Pushing you though, how hopeful would you be to get that over the line?
Obviously there's a number of deals we're looking into at the moment, so I think it's a bit unfair going into the season to comment on other teams' players who are under contract. So yeah, there's several opportunities we're looking at, and hopefully we can make the right calls to continue improving what we've got.
Just to push names, Pedro Lima on loan from Wolves, Lewis Kumas at Liverpool.
Yeah, honestly, there's such a list of players to get mentioned. We seem to get linked with everybody. At this stage, I just don't want to really comment on any individuals.
What about with the players you've got? Just thinking of the injury front as well, because Thompson obviously had that thigh issue. Has he had a scan? What's the situation there with him?
Yeah, we've had there's been a disruption. Obviously Sam Smith, first of all, missed a lot of pre-season. And Jay Rodriguez, unfortunately, also. So the 2 strikers who finished the season, and then Ollie Rathbone over in Australia damaged his ankle ligament. So in that side, it hasn't gone as smoothly as we would have liked. But I think other teams will also be facing problems. George Thompson came in, looked really good, and they've got a slight problem with his thigh. He's getting that re-scan this evening, and we'll know more the extent of that.
Given that, and given the way you're gelling the squad together at the moment, are you able to put into context what your realistic aims are this season now?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to predict, but I said that last season in League One, because how the players who've never played at the level are going to adapt, how the players we brought in are going to fit in. There's a lot of variables in place. The only thing I'm looking for is that success for Wrexham is by the end of the season we've continued to represent this great football club in the way we have over the last 4 years, and if we do that, I'll be very pleased, and we'll see where that takes us.
At various points, I'm sure we'll mention 4 in a row.
Of course, the 3 in a row is history. People are going to inevitably mention that, but we don't get carried away with ourselves. We never have. Other people on the outside may well talk about that, but we're just focused on what we've got to do, remaining grounded as a group, and knowing that there's a lot of hard work ahead of us, but it's equally very exciting as well. There's an air of anticipation in and around the town, in the club, and everybody can't wait to get started in what is going to be a tremendous season.
Thanks, Phil. Good luck.
Thank you.
Phil, good to see you. Just following on from Vinny's question there on the overall aims, in terms of your chats with the owners that you have regularly over the summer, what are their thoughts in terms of not just for next year, but your whole time here going forward?
Yeah, I think one thing with Rob and Ryan, they never kind of spoke about put pressure on us, we've got to do this and we've got to do that. It's about the talk about getting the squad and the template we set out in the summer, what we're working towards. Can we fill the blanks where we needed players coming in to give us a chance to be competitive in division? So they're the conversations I have with Rob and Ryan about that, rather than we've got to do this or we've got to do that. That's never been the way the conversations have gone. They just been supportive to help us build a competitive team.
And in terms of the 8 signings coming in as well, does that maybe mean there's going to be a few more exits over the next few weeks?
I think inevitably players are going to go, and that's sometimes as well, it's for the benefit of the player as well, because there's players who didn't get a lot of game time last year who need for themselves to go and play. So I feel we've done well. We've been very fair to everybody over the last 4 years since Rob and Ryan came in. Everybody's been treated respectfully, and of course decisions have got to be made because we've got to be realistic. We're going into a very competitive division with a lot of spending power across the board. So players will go, it'll be generally be the ones who we feel need to get some game time, and that may be loan or permanent deals.
You mentioned competitive division there. I mean, Saturday's fixture probably shows that. A club well in Southampton, what do you expect from them at the weekend?
Yeah, I think first of all, there's a huge expectation on the teams who've come down, and we can go and kind of enjoy that underdog card going down there at the weekend. What am I expecting? Difficult to predict the lineup because they've had a few injuries over pre-season. A few players in the background seem to maybe move in, may still be there. So I'm sure their manager's getting asked the same questions as I am. So, we've spoken to the lads today that it's one. If you're 3-4 weeks into the season, you can predict more how teams are going to play and what shape they're going to play. But I think this one is slightly more difficult. So it's about concentrating on what we feel we need to do to be at our best at the weekend.
There's always been so much thought of looking forward and what's going to happen next at this club ever since you've been here. But was there any chance in the summer to just look back at what you've actually achieved so far?
Yeah, there's definitely been some reflection, and when we've all had our separate holidays, and it's great to be away with a family. See my parents who live in the North East, spend a bit of time with them, and talk about the achievement. Because as you know, once the season's off and running, it's kind of like 100 miles an hour. So yeah, of course, looking back at that first division season, when you look back at the competitiveness of that division, and to finally get promoted, was tremendous for us all, and there was a huge effort. And I think sometimes people look at us and think, oh yeah, Wrexham have just spent money, that's it. Now there's a lot of detail, a lot of thought, a lot of structure behind the scenes which has taken place to enable us to get those 3 promotions.
Thank you, Phil.
Anyone else from the rest of the room?
A few inconsequential losses over the last month, Phil. How valuable have those been as part of preparations?
Yeah, I think the results in pre-season, you always want in every game, but I think we've kind of had a bit of disruption in terms of the team we've been able to get on the pitch, which hasn't helped. We've had a lot of travelling as well, and I think there's mitigating circumstances for that, but the main thing is the attitude of the players has been outstanding. When you look going to Australia, arriving in Melbourne, get the lads to train in after being jet lagged and in difficult weather conditions at the start, but their attitude's been brilliant every single day. And of course, we would love to have won all the games over there, but played against some good teams, and sometimes that happens. And you can learn from every game, whether it's pre-season or in the season. And
it's such a big jump from League One to the Championship. How's everyone feeling? Is everyone nervous? Everyone excited?
Yeah, excited. Like I said, there's such an air of anticipation in the building because we've worked very hard, and it's not just work on the pitch. I'm talking about the work behind the scenes, the structure of the club, the culture we've created to achieve what we've done. And we want to make sure the lads really enjoy this experience, and we're going to do that.